Hey guys, and welcome back to the internet. So last night I had just finished making my video and I went to bed at around 2 a.m. And then, shortly after, at 5:30 a.m., I get woken up by a crashing sound. I look over and my cat was climbing and walking around on this shelf I had hanging on the wall, and the whole thing just came crashing down and just took out everything underneath it. Needless to say, it wasn't a very pleasant way to wake up. It scared both me and the cat. And yeah, it's not so easy to go back to sleep after that happens. So now I'm trying to clean up that mess. Anyways, let's get into the stories for today. Now this first one comes from Imagine the Internet, from Mr. Freeble. He's been telling me to read a story for a long time, so here you go, called Forward-Leaning Rest Position Move. So I was in basic training back in the summer of '88. Well, it was hot as blue blazes, and we were on our field exercises. Well, I got sleepy, and the next thing I knew, there was my drill sergeant asking if I had enjoyed my nap. Needless to say, actually, drill sergeant, it was quite pleasant. Was not what he was expecting to hear. He asked for my weapon and told me to follow him. Some of you might know the punishment called the dying cockroach. If you lie on your back, your arms and feet up with a canteen on your feet while saying, "I'm a dying cockroach, I can't reach my water," until the drill sergeant's throat gets sore. It was like 6 minutes until the silence made him cough like someone with TB, indicating I could get up. So that was just for the smart aleck remark. The punishment for sleeping, and of course the I effed up moment, came when I and 7 others were instructed to lay our weapons across the backs of our hands in the push-up position. So my arms are already shot, and I was not the best push-up doer, and comes the lieutenant, who sadly knew my name. "Down lower, Freeble, I want to see your chest on that weapon." Open mouth, swallow foot up to hip bone. In a gasping out of breath voice, I respond, "F you, sir," like lightning out of a Pikachu's butt. 3 drill sergeants descended on me, like wolves on a wounded deer. I can't remember exactly what was said, but imagine the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket on meth, and that's about how bad the teardown was. After several minutes and lots of laughter, as the story spread, I just asked, "Just how deep in it do you think you are?" "I'd say up to my hairline, drill sergeant," I said, to which he responded, "Well, you did say sir, so I think you're only up to your forehead." He just nodded and signaled me to follow. I finished up basic training with the nickname of Wingnut, and an Article 15 for disrespecting an officer, which garnished me $150 and 30 days in the brig suspended. Well, I hope you made it out of that one okay, Mr. Freeble. Thanks for sharing. We don't really have any super long stories for today, I guess to make up for how long yesterday's stories were. But next we've got, try to scam free upgrade, get an upgrade to the worst room possible. So years ago, I worked at a hotel location on a beach. So many people always come in and trying to run the scam to be upgraded to beachfront all the time. Please note, if you have thought about how to scam someone, there are a lot of others who probably have already done this before you. Front desk staff are not stupid idiots who don't know how to read when a customer is full of crap. Again, as this hotel is beachfront, there are 3 types of rooms overall. Beachfront is most expensive, side, and then city view, which is the cheapest, as some don't want to spend the extra money for a view. I'm working a graveyard shift one night. I see someone booked a city view room. As we are dead, front desk staff can do free upgrades if they choose. I see this reservation and think, hey, I'll be nice and give them a free upgrade to the side and block them into a room on the 9th floor. The 9th floor is the highest we have, except the 10th floor is for the penthouse level. I move the customer over closest to the beach. He will have a great view. So the jerk customer walks in and immediately tells me he has a beachfront view room booked. Now for those that don't work in a hotel, no one ever says this, they always say I have a room reserved. So immediately I know he's lying. I say, "Sorry sir, you have booked a city view room." He tells me no, he booked a beachfront, and I explain that beachfront will be more expensive. He replies that no, he was quoted this much and that's all he will pay. So enter malicious compliance. I tell him, okay, I can upgrade you to the side. He replied with, "That is acceptable." This is strike 2. Now I truly know he's lying. As if he truly booked a beachfront, this would not have been acceptable. I changed his room to the 2nd floor, and closest to the city as I can make it. The room was absolutely the worst room we had, and the last one we ever used. The only time someone got booked into that room is when we sold out and no other choices were available. Instead of seeing a beach, he now has a wonderful view of our generator. My boss came in early that morning. I explained that if he gets a complaint from the jerk customer, this is what happened. I told him what room number I was going to put him in, to which the boss goes, "You were being incredibly nice." As I finish telling him the story, he asks, "So where did you put him?" He knows that I would never be nice to a jerk, as I had a reputation for malicious compliance on many occasions. I tell him the room number, and he immediately knew what I did to the jerk customer and falls out of his chair laughing so hard. My boss says, "This is why I keep you around. Entertainment value. No one but you would have ever thought to do this to a jerk customer." He continues saying, the best part is he thinks he scammed us and screwed himself. If the customer would have just shut up, he would have had a great room. Now he has the worst room possible. He tells me later that the customer never did come down to complain. Moral of the story, if you're being a jerk, I will gladly give you a jerk upgrade. Man, it's always funny when people who are like servers or hotel clerks, they kind of have a lot of power over the guests. So, if they just feel like screwing you over, they can, or if they feel like giving you a favor, they can do that also. So, those are the people you want to treat the best. Alright, now we've got Mother calls the police from the other side of the world. So I was playing some Rainbow Six Siege on solo queue and met this 12 to 14-year-old kid. After the game, he invites me to a 1v1 on house. I agreed and the game was on. Now, I'm okay at Siege, around Platinum 3, and he was maybe Silver or something, so for me it was an easy game. And this kid was trash-talking the whole time, like yelling, yeah bro, you suck, and oh, are you really gonna play that guy? He sucks, and so on. So the real story begins when he starts using swear words. He says, F you, man. And Mom says, hey, why are you swearing at my son? I say, what? I've not been swearing at your son. Well, I just heard you say, frick you, to my son. I say, no, I did not. She says, and why are you killing my son all the time? I say, it's kind of the point of the game to kill the opponent. Well, why is he not killing you? I say, well, that's maybe because I happen to be better at this game than he is. She says, I want you to stop killing my son. I say, yeah, no, not gonna happen, lady. You want me to call the cops for assault? I say, good luck, ma'am. Where do you live? I say, Sweden. She says, do not lie to me, you a-hole. I say, ma'am, why would I lie to you? Why would you not lie to me to get out of the police coming to your house? I say, but I'm not lying to you, but in Swedish. She says, what's your address? I say, Riksgatan 112, Stockholm. Then there is silence for a while. She says, so now I have called the police and they are on the way. I say, sweet, I'll be here waiting for them. She says, good, I hope you will enjoy jail. I say, yeah, I'm sure I will. Well, goodbye. I better get dressed for when the police show up. Bye. I left the game and went to sleep. From what I know, the police have never showed up yet, so... Man, people who are good at video games are just so oppressed. First they trash talk you, then they report you for hacking, and now they get their mom to call the police on you. Can't I ever just win a video game in peace? I would love to hear the phone conversation if she really did call the police and wherever she was. Alright, now we've got, want me to fly to another state to pick up my kids? I'll take them back with me. So my mother is usually a very calm and understanding person, who will take a lot of stuff without complaining, but when she gets angry, she won't hesitate to bring up some sweet malicious compliance. My father, meanwhile, is the definition of an irritable mess, who loves being extremely petty, and it's a good thing he and my mother aren't married anymore because I don't know how she ever stood him. This particular incident happened 2 years ago. So my parents were finishing up a custody trial. My father was losing the trial and he wasn't happy about it. He decided in the summer of 17 to try to get back at my mother by taking a long vacation that goes through one of her weekends in the summer. Me and my sisters find this out fairly quickly as the summer begins, and we tell our mother, who texts my father thinking he made a mistake. The conversation went something like this. My mom says, are you taking the kids out to beach town from this date to this date? My dad says, yes I am. She says, you know I have a weekend during that time, right? My dad says, well, if you want to have them, you can come pick them up and do whatever you want with them. What I'm doing is perfectly legal and within the law, as we have to pick up kids when it's our time. Surprisingly, he was right. My mother was done talking to him at that point and said nothing more on the matter. She just told us to enjoy our vacation at Beach Town. So we spend the next couple days at the town. We've been to this place half a dozen times, so we're kind of bored. My father only likes it because he bought a summer home there, and he knows the people there and sometimes goes out to bars alone at night with my stepmother. Eventually, the weekend comes around, and it's 6 p.m., the time when a parent is supposed to pick up. My mother shows up at the summer house. My father is shocked, and she asks for the kids, stating that she has rented a hotel room here and has clothes for us. We take a ride with her in the cab back to a hotel, which she stayed at overnight, but she only packed 2 bags and only one set of clothes for us, which is odd, as we're supposed to be here until Monday morning. Then she takes out her airline tickets. We're taking the next flight home. No one wanted to stay, of course. We're pretty tired of going to this place anyway, and we don't tell our father or stepmother. We fly home, and when Monday rolls around, my father is calling to ask where the kids are. My mother answers and tells him they're back home, and if he wants to have them, he can come pick them up. My father is screaming over the line at this point, and my mother calmly tells him this is perfectly legal and within the law, repeating back to him what he texted her at the beginning of the summer. My father spends the rest of the vacation alone in the beach town. I hope he enjoyed it with my stepmother, since he nor my grandparents who are the only other people who can take us in his name, are in town. Custody law states that we instead spend that time with our mother. During that free week she got with us, we went to an amusement park and saw a few movies. Overall, we enjoyed that spectacle and time with our mother, then going to the beach town for the umpteenth time. Man, that's one of those extreme cases of, well, what are you gonna do about it? And then they actually do something about it. So I had a pretty hard time finding stories today for some reason. I don't know. There just wasn't a whole lot of good stuff around today. So we're just gonna move on to the question of the day, which is, what is your, and I should have died but didn't, story? So we got some near-death experiences. I got blood poisoning as a kid. The red line was almost to my heart. If my aunt hadn't seen my infected finger and popped it and then told my mom to take me to the docs, Doc said less than 24 hours it would have reached my heart. I was 5. My mom is legally blind, so she would never have seen it. Man, it's so weird that you can have some kind of medical condition, like, without even knowing it, and then before you know it, it's, like, just taken over your body. So at 6, I was in the back seat of my dad's Trans Am. Turning left, a truck ran a red light and hit us going 80 miles an hour. The back hatch of our car broke all over me, and I was ejected out of the car, where I landed on my head in the middle of the highway. I was pronounced dead, but the EMT somehow revived me. Had a grand mal seizure for 45 minutes in the hospital, until I eventually went into a coma for 4 days. Woke up and couldn't walk or talk. Broke 3 ribs and my hip. Spent a month in the hospital. I'm 24 now, and you'd never know I went through all that. I do have seizures now, and short-term memory loss, but other than that, I'm doing well. Well, not many people can say they've died before, so... I mean, if you can come out of that, that'd be a pretty cool story to be able to tell. I had a windsurfing accident, was blown 8+ miles out to sea with only the board. Was supposed to be a hard freeze that late November evening. About 45 minutes before dark, I heard the Coast Guard vessel looking for me. I had already resigned myself to death, as only one other person knew I was out there. And as far as I knew, he had gotten himself into the same situation. It's really amazing how calm you get and how the fear of death leaves when you've become sure that it's going to happen. Or it could have just been hypothermia. Dang, the ocean can be a pretty scary place when you're on your own out there. I was struck by lightning when I was 15 while hiking in the mountains between North Carolina and Tennessee. It started hailing afterwards. I couldn't move, but my friends pulled me under a tree and wrapped me in an aluminum blanket, because I was going hypothermic in July. The hail pelted holes in the blanket. The hail above us on the mountain melted and ran down to where we were laying, soaking us, and thunder rumbled all around for half an hour or more, threatening. I don't think I'll ever hear thunder and not shudder. Also, I haven't seen the color black since then. I believe I'm permanently flash burned. At night, or when I close my eyes, I see a million dots of faint colored light like static. Anyway, I survived. Oh, did you know? It happened 14 years ago. Man, getting struck by lightning has got to be just such a weird experience. Cause like, it just comes out of nowhere. It happens in an instant. You never see it coming. And then all of a sudden you're just on the ground. But man, do you know how rare it is to get struck by lightning? You've got a better chance of getting struck by oh, never mind. So I went to a hospital after several days of the worst fatigue I've ever experienced. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and a temporary condition called diabetic ketoacidosis. And I was told that it was a miracle I brought myself to the hospital because I was a mere hours away from a diabetic coma and possibly death. Man, you know how I was just talking about how you can get some kind of crazy condition and you would never know that you were about to die from it? I mean, I personally, never go to the doctor for whatever reason. So, anytime I feel some unusual pain, I'm just like, well, looks like this is it for me. When I was 18, I was driving on a divided highway on the furthest left lane, right by the middle divider. Suddenly, a car on the highway was going the opposite direction, comes flying across all 3 lanes, literally directly for me. The car smashed violently into the concrete divider just as we passed each other. 2 of his tires drove up over the divider and then back down onto the highway. One of the scariest moments of my life. Basically, if there was no divider, I'd be dead. I mean, I get terrified whenever I'm driving on those, just 2-lane roads where the only thing separating you from the other guy going 80 miles an hour is just a couple inches of paint. It's just kind of scary to think that, one little tilt of your wrist could end you. Alright, we got one more. So I was skiing in a roped-off cliff zone that I didn't know very well, like an idiot, and I kicked off a small avalanche that carried me right over. I fell about 40 feet, tumbled, and got lightly buried under a few inches of snow. When the world stopped moving, I was able to force my way out. Amazing how heavy just a few inches of snow can be. I was completely unhurt. I lost a ski, and for the few seconds I was buried, I didn't just think I had almost died, I thought I was dead, and experiencing some kind of dark purgatory. Was pretty delirious from the adrenaline and brief sensory deprivation. I was visible from a chair, and Ski Patrol came down to give me a hand, and to yank my pass. They were total bros. I think I lucked out by just happening on a known cliff with a great run out. One of them came from above and just straight hucked it, like out of a Warren Miller movie. Also, when I say I lost a ski, I mean one ski was nowhere to be found. It was a total yard sale. The lost ski was eventually found sticking out of some ice at the top of the cliff. Super weird. Yeah, I go out snowboarding quite a bit, and there's a lot of places you could get lost, especially if you get buried. It can be very hard for anyone to find you. Well, that does it for today's video. Probably went a little shorter than usual, but whatever. I'm kind of tired. Yeah, I guess I'll throw in a cat video right now. There's 2 of them now. Hey, there's one right by your head. And I will see you guys next time.